You catch that exact combination of smells at a gas pump in July, hot asphalt, sunscreen, and faint pool chlorine from down the street. For 4 seconds, it completely takes the wind out of you. You weren't trying to remember being 11 years old. Your credit card just declined for the second time and you were mildly annoyed. Then that smell hits, and suddenly you were back in a summer that hasn't asked a single adult thing of you yet. Then the receipt prints, and you go right back to being whatever age you actually are. That exact 4-second gap is what we're unpacking today. Because somewhere along the line, June through August stopped being an event and simply turned into a temperature.
Memory researchers have spent decades studying why specific periods of life feel enormous in hindsight, while entire years simply evaporate. In autobiographical memory research, this phenomenon is widely documented as the reminiscence bump. First identified by psychologist David Rubin and his colleagues, the data consistently shows that when adults recall life memories, a massive cluster centers between ages 10 and 30.
Those early years did not contain more actual physical calendar days than your current life. Instead, those years handed your brain a disproportionate number of foundational firsts. First bike rides without supervision, first heartbreaks, and first completely open afternoons. Novel experiences triggered deep neurological encoding, allocating far more mental real estate to a single summer than an adult year spent on autopilot.
Look closely at what adult summer actually consists of. You already know the local pool, the familiar beach trip, and the group text arguing over weekend dates nobody fully confirms. Your brain has already filed every single detail under "seen this before." There is nothing genuinely new for your focus to latch onto. A child's summer, by contrast, is completely flooded with constant novelty. A new friend moving in down the street, new bike routes, and entire friendships formed and ended in 2 weeks. That childhood summer felt like 4 full months because it was doing 4 months' worth of psychological heavy lifting. Now, June through August just leaks into your existence unannounced. Summer used to feel like a living season, and now it just feels like warmer weather.
From a cognitive perspective, your brain operates on efficiency models designed to conserve metabolic energy. When you perform familiar tasks such as commuting or attending routine meetings, the brain processes these events using automated neural pathways. This processing style requires minimal conscious attention and results in compressed memory storage. Because few distinct neural anchors are created during repetitive routines, subjective time perception contracts when looking backward. Conversely, when encountering novel situations, the hippocampus actively encodes unique context, rich sensory details, and temporal sequence markers. This elevated neural activity expands your internal perception of time duration. The adult feeling that time is speeding up is not a mental flaw. It is simply your nervous system processing predictable environment inputs with maximum efficiency.
Summer used to have a very hard, deliberate edge to it. A loud bell rang, you dumped your locker into a trash bag, and a physical door swung wide open. You had 10 unscheduled weeks stretching out ahead, like they actually belonged to you. That structural boundary was doing immense psychological heavy lifting. Anticipation is how your mind determines what deserves to be remembered as significant. A season starting with a ceremonial gun feels completely different from a season that slowly creeps in while sitting at work. For most adults, the shift from spring to summer is just a warmer walk to get coffee. No ceremony, no final bell, just a slight change in what you sweat through on your daily commute.
There is also a simple mathematical framework governing how we perceive seasonal duration as we age. Originally proposed by philosopher Paul Genet and later discussed by psychologist William James, this concept is known as the proportional theory of time. When you're 8 years old, a single summer represents roughly 1/32nd of your entire lived existence. That 3-month block is a massive proportional fraction of your cumulative memory bank.
By age 35, that exact same 3-month window represents a tiny fraction of your total life experience. The actual objective length of 90 days remains entirely unchanged. However, your internal psychological measuring stick has expanded dramatically. As the denominator of your total age grows, each individual season naturally feels smaller in hindsight. The flatness you feel each summer isn't proof that you've grown boring or cold. Your brain is simply running routine scripts inside a life that stopped handing it raw, original material. If you want a sliver of that old, endless feeling back, psychology points to something entirely doable. You don't need a month-long trip or a dramatic lifestyle shift. You just need small, deliberate novelty injected into a schedule that has gotten a little too predictable. Walk a route you've never taken before. Start a real conversation with a complete stranger, or attempt a brand new skill. Force your conscious attention to show up instead of running on complete autopilot. The days ahead are still completely unclaimed, just waiting on you to try something you've never done before.
You can watch the rest of this ongoing series right now over on our channel. Click the next video on your screen to keep exploring.